The woman had asked Wang Lin's name twice now, which had already caught his attention. Although he wasn't familiar with any spells or divine arts based on one's name, the grand divination art of the Council of Elders was known for its secrecy and unpredictability on the ancient star of antiquity, especially since she had precisely calculated where he had previously hidden, as if she had seen it with her own eyes. This reminded Wang Lin of someone who had left a deep impression on him, Tian Yunzi. In all his years of cultivation, Tian Yunzi was the one Wang Lin could never fully grasp and deeply feared. Even when compared to Waterpath Master, the unease Tian Yunzi stirred in him was unmatched. Though Wang Lin's expression remained calm, his mind was on high alert. He glanced at the woman and slowly said, Sumu. His name wasn't exactly a secret for those determined to uncover it, but whether he revealed it himself or someone else spoke it first felt subtly different to him. The woman's gaze flickered. After silently repeating the name Sumu 3 times in her mind, her brow furrowed ever so slightly. He didn't say his true name himself. I can't use the name puppetry art on him. Without another word, Wang Lin turned and sped off deeper into the passageway, ignoring the woman and Maja. The imperial envoy hurried after him, and soon, the two figures grew more distant. As he moved forward, Wang Lin's eyes glinted. His interactions with the Riverine clan and the Soul Serpent clan had always carried an air of testing. In this land of falling stars, he knew far too little about that mysterious great emperor. The sudden bestowal of benefits couldn't help but make Wang Lin suspicious. To uncover the other party's motives, he had to probe. It had been the same with the Dragon Armor tribe months ago, and just now with both the Riverine and Soul Serpent clans. Through constant testing, he had to find the other side's bottom line. I discarded 2 elders of the Falling Life Society, was granted the authority to appoint a clan leader, and even canceled the elder selection of 2 clans, all of that remained within their tolerance. It seems this Falling Life Society means nothing to that mysterious great emperor. Wang Lin's eyes narrowed in contemplation before he suddenly spoke to the imperial envoy behind him. The Dark Scorpion clan's leader isn't bad. I intend to appoint him as an elder of the Falling Life Society. The envoy paused, clearly surprised, and hesitated for a moment. Wang Lin's eyes casually swept over him, but in that instant, his pupil shrank. He had a vague sense the envoy was secretly transmitting messages using some special method. A moment later, the envoy seemed to stop hesitating and nodded. Since it's decreed by the young emperor, it's naturally no issue. A faint smile appeared on Wang Lin's face as he turned and continued walking, but behind the smile, as he turned away, his expression slowly became serious once more. That confirms it. That mysterious great emperor truly doesn't care about the Falling Life Society. Who is he, really? Wang Lin fell into silence. The two streaked through the passage like shooting stars. It wasn't long before they emerged and entered the domain of the Emperor Star. Seeing the Emperor Star from such a close distance, Wang Lin suppressed the tremor in his heart and carefully observed it. A powerful aura of authority pervaded the star, subtly radiating outward with its barely perceptible rotation. Under the envoy's guidance, Wang Lin took a step forward and entered the Emperor Star. No astral wind layer? The moment he stepped in, Wang Lin's heart stirred. This star's peculiarities began to reveal themselves one by one. This was the first time in his life that upon arriving at a cultivation star, there was no astral wind layer. The Emperor Star had no mountains. It was all flat plains, covered in bizarre vegetation. These plants had enormous leaves, wide enough that several people could lie on them without feeling crowded. They stretched endlessly as far as the eye could see, occupying nearly the entire surface of the Emperor Star. Only in the northwestern region did the strange plants begin to thin, revealing gray ground. There, a roughly 1,000-li-wide clearing lay surrounded by countless seals. What's that? As he stared at the faintly visible array of seals, Wang Lin's eyes flickered, and his mind suddenly stirred. That's the arena for tomorrow's elder selection of the Falling Life Society, the envoy quickly explained upon noticing where Wang Lin's gaze had landed. Young Emperor, I was ordered to bring you here. I must now return to guide the remaining cultivators. Unless you have other orders, I will take my leave. With that, he cupped his hands respectfully. Wang Lin hadn't intended to keep the man around anyway. Hearing this, he returned the gesture and replied, "Thank you." His nature was to return courtesy with courtesy. The envoy had shown him respect on both encounters, and Wang Lin saw no reason to put on airs. Young Emperor, you may familiarize yourself with the Emperor Star. Tomorrow morning, someone will come to escort you to the elder selection. Bowing once more, The envoy turned into a streak of light and vanished into the distant gray horizon. After the person left, looking out across the entire Emperor Star, it seemed as though the vast heavens and earth were left with only Wang Lin. He stood there, his gaze fixed on the northwest arena. After a long while, he withdrew his gaze, his body swaying, and disappeared without a trace. When he reappeared, Wang Lin was already outside the arena. The arena, spanning 1,000 miles, was an immense sight for mortals, something truly incredible. Even with the fastest horses, it would usually take a full day to cross. But for cultivators, such a distance was just right. Outside the arena's restriction, Wang Lin raised his right hand and pressed it forward into the void. Instantly, a tremendous force from the restriction surged forth from the emptiness, converging in front of his right hand. In the blink of an eye, a seemingly tangible turtle shell appeared before Wang Lin. The edges of the shell were adorned with countless swirling vortices, rapidly shifting between the real and the illusory. As Wang Lin's right hand touched the shell, a powerful rebound force erupted, causing his hand to go numb. He staggered back 3 steps before stopping. Within that rebound, a faint trace of an ancient soul could be sensed. What a strong restriction! This isn't the Annihilation Seal, nor the Life and Death Seal, and definitely not the Time Seal. Its appearance seems to resemble the ancient Soul Seal, one of the 4 great seals that is said to have been lost to legend. Wang Lin's eyes flickered. When the Imperial Envoy had been nearby earlier, he had sensed something strange about the arena's restriction, so he had come to investigate. Upon closer inspection, he was filled with astonishment. Interesting. Wang Lin's eyes gleamed as he realized that soon the Imperial Envoy would likely bring someone from outside. Time was pressing, so he could not afford to waste any. With a leap, he soared into the air. His right eye flashed with lightning, and with a series of hand seals, he swung both arms outward. A mighty rumble echoed through the heavens, and his right pupil flickered rapidly with thunderous imprints, suddenly releasing a burst of force. Before Wang Lin, a huge thunder diagram materialized. As soon as the thunder diagram appeared, it immediately triggered endless bolts of lightning, causing the gray sky to seem as though it was engulfed by a thundercloud. The earth itself fluctuated, becoming brighter and darker with each flash. Wang Lin pushed the thunder diagram through the void with his hands. His body moved like a shooting star, streaking toward the 1,000-mile arena below. The diagram rumbled as it followed Wang Lin, drawing closer to the arena with every passing moment. Just as the thunder diagram neared the arena, the entire 1,000-mile arena suddenly erupted in light. The light, gray like mist, swirled and twisted into form. Directly beneath the thunder diagram, a massive turtle shell appeared. This shell was many times larger than the one Wang Lin had tested with his right hand. Its edges swirled with the same shifting vortices, rapidly shifting between the real and the illusory. Thunder boomed again. Wang Lin's eyes sparkled with intent. The thunder diagram grew even closer, and just as it reached the arena, the turtle shell expanded rapidly, extending outward until a gigantic arc of turtle shell formed in the sky above the 1,000-mile arena. Wang Lin's pupils contracted, and he drew in a sharp breath. This was no turtle shell, this was clearly a giant turtle of 1,000-mile size. Under the turtle shell in the western part of the arena, a massive head appeared, and 4 giant legs sprouted from the edges of the shell. To the east of the shell, a short tail also materialized. In the blink of an eye, a colossal turtle had suddenly appeared on the ground. An aura of ancientness spread across the Emperor Star, filling the land. The turtle was gray all over, but its head was especially clear, its eyes sharp. As Wang Lin neared, the turtle's head shot up, and it let out a loud, earth-shaking roar. The roar was deafening, twisting the air itself and causing the world to change. Rippling waves of sound exploded outward. This scene was utterly stunning. The giant turtle's roar shook the earth, its body writhing in rage. Its shell shimmered with gray light, and its 4 legs shot out sharp claws, capable of tearing the sky apart. On its tail, several bulges appeared, and from within them, sharp, glowing spikes emerged, clearly laced with poison. Most notably, from its head, a single horn began to protrude halfway, releasing a rush of water-like energy. The entire area around the turtle seemed to become submerged, and Wang Lin felt as though he were facing the vast ocean. It was as if, in that instant, the earth itself had transformed into a boundless sea. Wang Lin waved his hands, and the thunder diagram before him turned into lightning, racing toward his right eye, dissipating into the air. He had never intended to forcibly breach the arena's restriction. The thunder diagram was only used to trigger the full activation of the restriction. With his goal accomplished, Wang Lin immediately retreated, his eyes flickering with strange light. It really is the ancient soul seal. As Wang Lin retreated, the giant turtle's head slowly lowered, and its body began to fade away. After a while, everything returned to normal. Among the 4 great restrictions, the ancient soul seal is extremely mysterious, having been lost in the passage of time. However, some scattered traces left behind subtly hint that the ancient soul seal is related to fierce beasts, binding the souls and physical forms of these beasts into a restriction. When combined with various special methods, its power is incredibly formidable. I never expected that there would be an ancient soul seal within the Emperor's Star. Wang Lin took a deep breath, holding back his excitement for a long while. He couldn't help but be excited, unable to contain himself. If he could master all 4 of the great restrictions and integrate them, with great fortune, he might comprehend the origin of the seals. If he succeeded, Wang Lin's origin would no longer be the 5 paths, but instead, the 6 paths. 6 paths origin. If this were to spread, it would undoubtedly shock all cultivators. Even the mighty third step experts would be horrified. The more one understood the origins, the more one would realize the significance of the 6 paths origin. The 5 paths origin was already extraordinary, and if another path were to emerge, it would be world-shattering. However, the difficulty of fully mastering the 6 paths origin would also multiply. Wang Lin's breath grew ragged, and he unconsciously licked his lips. I've already obtained the Annihilation Seal, Life and Death Seal, and Time Seal. Although I don't have much time to research them, if I can learn the Ancient Soul Seal, then my mastery of the 4 great restrictions would be complete. Then, Wang Lin's heart raced. This stroke of fate was so unexpected, arriving without any prior warning or preparation. His gaze flashed, and after a long time, he finally suppressed his excitement. Who exactly is this emperor? How could he use the Ancient Soul Seal to set up a competition restriction? Wang Lin's wariness towards the mysterious emperor deepened. He had me come in ahead of time. Could it be that all of this was planned? Could he have predicted that I would be drawn to this restriction? Wang Lin fell silent. The more he analyzed, the more his excitement faded. This Emperor's Star is full of strange things. No astral wind layer, bizarre vegetation, and the Ancient Soul Seal. Wang Lin's body swayed, and he landed on the barren land in the northwest, where vegetation was sparse. The ground was covered in grayish dust. As soon as he landed, Wang Lin crouched down, scooping up a handful of soil with his right hand. He observed it carefully for a long while, and his expression slowly darkened. At that moment, a long rainbow streaked across the sky in the distance. It was the few imperial envoys, accompanied by some cultivators, following Wang Lin's trail. Wang Lin glanced up, then turned and took a step. His figure vanished, and when he reappeared, he was already in the eastern part of the Emperor's Star, amidst a sea of endless vegetation, on top of a giant leaf. There, Wang Lin sat cross-legged, looking at the grayish soil in his hand, his brows furrowed. This soil seems ordinary, but I feel something is off. Wang Lin pondered, his eyes closing. Memories from an experience in Tian'an came flooding back. He had once stepped half into a realm, transformed into chaos, drifting through emptiness, and eventually becoming a cultivation star. That memory was etched deeply in Wang Lin's mind, and it was that very experience that gave him a vague understanding of many things. He clearly remembered that after transforming into a cultivation star, he spent countless years there. The volcanic eruptions on the cultivation star caused the coarse substances to be ejected, spreading throughout the entire star. Over time, these substances weathered and broke down into particles, eventually forming soil. In this soil, extremely primitive vegetation was born. Through cycles of death and rebirth, the soil gradually gained vitality, merging with the vitality of the entire cultivation star. When the cultivation stars in this starry sky first formed, there was no soil. Soil gradually formed in waves over time. This means that if the soil had a lifespan, it would be uneven, and its lifespan would be shorter than the cultivation star's own. Wang Lin's eyes snapped open, a strange light flashing in them as he stared at the soil in his hand. After a long while, he whispered, "Flowing moon." A sense of time suddenly emanated from him, enveloping the soil in his hand. As time flowed, it seemed to search for the day the soil was born. However, the birth of this soil was so long ago that even Wang Lin's cultivation level couldn't trace it completely. But he could still feel some vague clues. After a long time, Wang Lin waved his right hand, sending the soil scattering in all directions. Then, his body moved, appearing beneath the vegetation. He grabbed a handful of soil from beneath the plants and again performed the flowing moon technique. After some time, Wang Lin released the soil, allowing it to fall, his eyes revealing a flash of realization. This soil, if it had formed naturally, should have varied birth times, with some appearing earlier, some later. But here, all the soil appears to have been created simultaneously, with identical lifespans. There are only two explanations for this. The first is that the volcanoes on this cultivation star erupted simultaneously in ancient times, shortly after the star's formation, destroying everything and creating the soil. But this explanation seems a bit far-fetched, especially since the primitive vegetation that gave life to the soil couldn't have appeared and died at the same time. If this speculation is incorrect, then there's only one last possible explanation. Everything here was man-made, created long ago by someone using a divine art of great power to carve out this place. Wang Lin sucked in a breath. As a cultivator of divine abilities himself, he could imagine the immense power required to create a cultivation star from the void of the cosmos. The level of strength necessary for such a feat was beyond comprehension. In silence, Wang Lin shook his head. Even he found his own theory hard to believe. He had no idea, however, that if his guess were to be revealed, it would undoubtedly cause a great shock. Because few cultivators could deduce so much from a mere trace of soil. Even with the ability to analyze such clues, without knowing the full history of a cultivation star, from its birth to its destruction, one would never be able to make such a conclusion. So far, Wang Lin was the first to deduce the origin of this cultivation star from the soil itself. If the mysterious Great Emperor knew about this, he would surely be stunned. In fact, to him, this discovery would be even more shocking than Wang Lin's own astonishment at the process of star creation. Between cultivators, aside from differences in cultivation strength, there is also a gap in understanding of the Tao. The Tao, in essence, is simply the understanding of the principles of the universe. A person who comprehends all causes and effects, combined with the appropriate cultivation level, becomes a terrifying force beyond imagination. After brushing away the soil, Wang Lin paused for a moment, lying down on the giant leaf, staring at the gray sky. His eyes showed a deep contemplation. He was a person who liked to think, and it was precisely his thinking that had helped him navigate numerous crises in his life. Although Wang Lin spoke arrogantly about Grand Diviner Yin Luo and Si Maja from the Council of Elders, he was actually very cautious in his heart. He didn't know what the Great Emperor was plotting, but that didn't stop him from using the Emperor's power to fuel his own strength. In the cruel world of cultivation, such an approach was incredibly useful. Only those who know how to leverage others' power can find the results and objectives they desire in the complicated and foreign world. In the distance, across the sky, long rainbows continued to flash by. More and more people were entering the Emperor's star. Wang Lin watched the fading rainbows, his right hand slowly stroking the enormous leaf beneath him. At that moment, his expression shifted. He looked at his right hand. Just a moment ago, while he was stroking the leaf, he faintly felt a weak trace of primordial energy slip out of his hand, unbidden, and be absorbed by the leaf. But after careful inspection, he found nothing, as though the event had been an illusion. Sitting up, Wang Lin's eyes flickered. Though he found nothing, an unsettling feeling lingered in his heart. With a thoughtful expression, he suddenly rose and flew into the air, looking down below. Endless vegetation swayed gently on the earth. This Emperor's star is full of mysteries. Wang Lin hesitated to step back onto the large leaves. He transformed into a long rainbow, flying across the Emperor's star, his divine sense cautiously spreading out as he kept a close watch. As the sky gradually darkened, only the occasional flash of rainbows far in the distance could be seen. Wang Lin moved at a leisurely pace, and by twilight, he saw a lake surrounded by dense vegetation, with an elderly man dressed in white sitting by the shore, fishing with a rod. Beside him, there was a wine flask. Wang Lin's eyes sharpened. This was the first person he had encountered here, aside from the great Emperor's envoy and the distant rainbows. After a brief moment of consideration, Wang Lin didn't leave. Instead, he slowly descended and landed behind the old man. The old man paid no attention, continuing to sit there, gazing at the lake. Wang Lin sat cross-legged beside him, remaining silent. The surroundings were peaceful, with only the faint sound of something cutting through the air from the northwest. Yet it harmonized with the tranquility of the area, not breaking the calm at all. The lake was incredibly clear. Though the bottom was not visible, it was easy to tell that there were no fish beneath the surface. The old man and the young man sat there, separated by a wine flask. Time passed slowly, and as the sky darkened completely, a bright moon appeared in the heavens. A gentle breeze stirred the vegetation around the lake, making a soft rustling sound, yet it did not disturb the peace. The surface of the lake rippled slightly as the breeze brushed across, almost as if it had plucked the moon from the sky and hid it deep in the waters. Gazing at the surface, it became difficult to tell where the moon truly lay. The bright moon either hung in the sky or rested in the heart of the lake. In the surrounding stillness, it painted a beautiful scene. In this peaceful setting, Wang Lin's weary heart, which had been burdened since arriving on the ancient star of antiquity, seemed to relax. "Do you drink wine?" The old man's hoarse voice suddenly broke the silence, slowly drifting toward Wang Lin. The moment the wine entered his stomach, it immediately transformed into a spicy sensation that surged from his throat all the way down to his abdomen, as if he had swallowed a fire dragon. Fine beads of sweat appeared on Wang Lin's forehead, but they dissipated into white vapor as soon as they appeared. The fiery feeling didn't subside. Instead, it intensified, quickly spreading throughout his body, making it feel as though his entire being was burning. The heat seemed to be on the verge of exploding from within. As the heat circulated through his body, Wang Lin suddenly felt a surge of vitality infusing his primordial energy, causing it to circulate rapidly. Moments later, he could clearly sense that his primordial energy had increased slightly. But that wasn't all. Just as the energy increased, the fiery sensation intensified once again, engulfing Wang Lin's body in blazing flames. Even his hair seemed to catch fire, and waves of heat radiated from every pore in his skin, astonishingly strong. The flames grew even fiercer, and in an instant, the vermilion bird mark appeared on his left eye. A blue flame burst forth from it, spreading across his body, merging with the fire within. A screeching cry of the vermilion bird rang out as a blue vermilion bird flew from Wang Lin's left eye, circling around his body with a look of great comfort. After a stick of incense burned, the vermilion bird returned to his left eye and vanished. The fiery sensation gradually dissipated, and Wang Lin took a deep breath before speaking. "Good wine." The old man turned to look at Wang Lin, a friendly smile on his face. He nodded before returning his gaze to the lake surface. "This wine," the old man said, "not everyone dares to drink it. Even a third-step cultivator would hesitate. But you just took a big gulp. What kind of wine is this?" Wang Lin licked his lips. After just that one mouthful, he immediately felt his fire origin growing more intense within him. What excited him even more was the fiery power contained in the wine, which brought him a step closer to the next awakening of his vermilion bird. "This isn't wine," the old man said with a kind expression, smiling. "It's blood." Wang Lin's gaze sharpened. Just then, the calm lake surface suddenly rippled violently, and from the depths, a low, rumbling roar echoed. The once clear lake water turned murky in an instant, and even his divine sense couldn't extend a single inch. The old man laughed heartily and, with a swift motion, jerked the fishing rod. The fishing line shimmered under the moonlight, flashing with a blinding light. It twisted and straightened, and as the rod was lifted, the line was pulled taut. The roar from the lake intensified, growing nearer and nearer. In a flash, as the fishing line was fully pulled, a massive head, over 100 feet in size, burst through the lake's surface with a thunderous crash. It was a dragon's head. Its body was crimson, and in the center of its forehead was a small but dark red bulge. This was no ordinary fishing expedition. The old man was fishing for a dragon. The dragon's head, entirely red, opened its fierce mouth, and the fishing line extended from it. The dragon's body, now visible, stretched over 1,000 feet, blocking out the sky and surrounding Wang Lin. The sight of this caused Wang Lin's expression to change, his eyes filled with shock. In front of this enormous dragon, Wang Lin felt as small as an ant. The dragon roared so powerfully that the sound shook the heavens. It suddenly swung its body, attempting to break free from the fishing line. But the fishing line seemed to be made of an unknown material, incredibly strong. Despite the dragon's desperate struggles, it couldn't escape the hold of the line. The old man laughed aloud, standing up and pulling the fishing rod back, causing the dragon's roar to intensify as if it were enraged. Everything happened in the blink of an eye, so quickly that it was hard to comprehend. At this moment, the massive dragon, realizing it couldn't escape, lowered its head and roared, opening its mouth wide, charging directly at the old man. Its enormous body had not even reached the old man yet, but a foul wind rushed towards him. Within this foul wind, as the dragon's head approached, an overwhelming aura of pressure suddenly erupted from the dragon. The force was so powerful, it seemed to shake the earth itself. Wang Lin was instantly overwhelmed by this pressure, his face turning pale and his eyes filled with horror. The dragon seemed like a giant grinding wheel, capable of crushing any living being. Reflexively, Wang Lin took several steps back. Third step. He clearly sensed that the pressure from the dragon was no weaker than the one Water Path Master had once exerted on him. A ferocious beast comparable to a third-step cultivator. Wang Lin gasped in awe. He could hardly believe what was happening before him. Not only was the old man fishing for a dragon, but the dragon he had hooked was a third-step dragon. The old man chuckled and stood up, holding the fishing rod in his right hand and raising his left hand to wave at the charging dragon. Wang Lin clearly saw flames spreading from the old man's left hand in an instant. The flame appeared almost illusory, more like a fiery mist. With a mere wave of the old man's hand, no visible use of divine art, an earth-shaking roar erupted. The colossal dragon let out a piercing, agonized screech as its head was violently jerked back by an invisible force, flung straight into the air. In the very moment it was hurled backward, a surge of fiery mist spread from the part of the dragon's body that extended above the lake's surface. Crackling sounds of incineration burst forth, and its screams became even more harrowing. Its massive frame trembled as it tried to retreat into the depths of the lake. But the old man flicked his fishing rod, the line went taut, unyielding. The dragon had just begun its retreat when it was yanked back several hundred feet amid another wail of pain. "Damn it! You think a mere flame dragon like you can flee in front of me?" The old man growled low. With a flicker in midair, he suddenly stepped down upon the roaring dragon's head. Raising his left hand, he slammed it down toward the dragon's skull. At that very instant, as the old man's left hand rose, Wang Lin's heart quaked. His pupil shrank, eyes filled with shock. He clearly saw, behind the old man, a figure suddenly materialized. A massive vermilion bird. It was far larger than Wang Lin's own vermilion bird, stretching across the sky. A sense of ancient majesty radiated from its being. Ethereal flame engulfed its entire form. This was illusory flame. The moment the vermilion bird appeared, it let out a thunderous cry toward the heavens, the cry of the vermilion bird that shook the skies. Wang Lin was dumbfounded. The vermilion bird's sheer size, the flame power it held within, its overwhelming presence, surpassed even that of the old sacred emperor of the vermilion bird. The gap between the two was as vast as that between a fledgling and its ancient forebear. The old man's left palm dropped with explosive force. The gigantic vermilion bird behind him surged forward, merging instantly with his hand. As the palm descended onto the dragon's head, from a distance, the old man's hand was no longer visible. What one saw instead was the vermilion bird's razor-sharp beak. In the blink of an eye, the sharp beak slammed down with a thunderous boom onto a bulging spot on the dragon's skull, piercing straight through. A jet of burning blood exploded out. "What are you standing there for? Grab the wine flask already. You think this old body of mine can keep doing this without a break?" The old man barked, his voice booming like thunder into Wang Lin's ears. Without hesitation, Wang Lin snatched up the wine flask. With a flick of his body, he shot into the air and captured the blood jet within the flask. But the flask could only hold so much. There was still some dragon blood left, which the flask couldn't contain. Without pause, Wang Lin pulled out a medicine vial to collect the rest. Yet the moment the vial touched the blood, it dissolved instantly, completely incapable of holding it. All of this happened in an instant. Seeing that the precious dragon blood was about to fall into the lake, Wang Lin's eyes widened. Without thinking, he lunged forward and opened his mouth, taking a deep, forceful inhale. With that one breath, the remaining dragon blood, just about to fall to the lake's surface, was all sucked into his mouth, equivalent to 3 large gulps of what he'd collected before. The old man saw this and broke into a wide grin. With a flicker, he leapt off the dragon's head. He reeled in his fishing line with a flick of his rod, and as he left the dragon's head, he stomped down with his right foot. The flame dragon let out a furious but suppressed growl. It didn't dare roar. Borrowing the force of the old man's stomp, it plunged beneath the lake and vanished from sight. Well done. That's the spirit of a vermilion bird clansman. Knowing that wasting such treasure is a disgrace, the old man laughed heartily, landing beside Wang Lin. Having swallowed the dragon blood, Wang Lin now had flames raging within his body. His face was flushed red, and he had no time to respond to the old man. He simply sat down cross-legged, activating his primordial energy and rapidly refining the power. The old man stood nearby, scanning Wang Lin up and down with eyes full of satisfaction. I never thought I'd see a youngster from the clan again. Yet here you are. The primordial yang of the soul has been shattered. Not only can you no longer cultivate my divine arts, but even in the realm of illusory flame, it will be far more difficult than for those whose primordial yang is intact. What a pity! What a pity! The old man sighed deeply, staring longingly at Wang Lin, who was meditating with his eyes closed. But as he gazed, his eyes suddenly widened, and he let out a soft exclamation. Something's not right. This kid's body. This is... The old man's eyes bulged in surprise as his body abruptly stood up, rushing toward Wang Lin in a single step. He raised his right hand and immediately pressed down onto Wang Lin's heavenly spirit. With a single palm strike, no harm was done to Wang Lin, but a strange force poured into Wang Lin's body and exploded outward. The old man retracted his right hand, his eyes wide open, staring intently at Wang Lin's heavenly spirit. At that moment, an invisible flame suddenly erupted from Wang Lin's heavenly spirit. The moment this flame appeared, it quickly spread through the heavens and earth, emitting an indescribable high temperature. In the next instant, that invisible flame suddenly contracted and eventually transformed into a faint flame. Though weak, this flame exuded a suffocating aura within it. This was Wang Lin's fire origin. Seeing this fire origin, the old man's expression didn't change, as if he had already known about it. After the flame, a new light appeared in Wang Lin's heavenly spirit. This light was dazzling and emitted a blinding brilliance, accompanied by the deafening roar of thunder. A bolt of lightning shot out from Wang Lin's heavenly spirit. As the thunder appeared, it transformed into a seal, surrounded by 9 fine bolts of lightning, showcasing an overwhelming power. The heavens and earth changed color, and the wind and clouds turned tumultuous. The primal aura within the thunder diagram became intensely concentrated. This was Wang Lin's second origin. Good heavens! The fire origin is expected, given the vermilion birds awakening several times, but this thunder origin. Though I had suspected it, seeing it now still shocks me. This thunder origin is already perfected. It's at the level where it can shake the void gate. How did he cultivate this? Did he truly swallow the primordial thunder dragon? The old man gasped in amazement. Just then, suddenly another light flickered from Wang Lin's heavenly spirit. The old man's eyes widened, revealing his excitement. This is it. This is exactly what I saw earlier. This kid's body. The light within Wang Lin's heavenly spirit spun rapidly. A black and white light shot out, and the world trembled. A phantom river appeared in the sky. This river was none other than Wang Lin's cycle of life and death, transforming into the yellow spring. The river swept through, its tail connecting back, swirling with a turbid aura. The breath of life and death erupted with a sudden force. This was the third origin of Wang Lin's life and death concept. The old man's face displayed an indescribable excitement, and his eyes gleamed with wild joy. This was the first time in tens of thousands of years that he had experienced such joy. His eyes widened, and he laughed loudly. Good, good, good. To think there really is a third origin. I didn't observe it carefully before, but now it's beyond my expectations. Before he could finish, he suddenly froze, staring at Wang Lin's heavenly spirit. Another light flickered, and a phantom Taiji diagram flew out from Wang Lin's heavenly spirit. The Taiji diagram contained causality. After it appeared, it seemed to tear apart the heavens and earth, causing a cosmic disorder. A sense of causal cycles emerged. Fortunately, there were no other cultivators nearby, or they would immediately be trapped by this force of causality, descending into inner demons and unable to extricate themselves. At that point, all the karmic seeds they had sown would turn into the destruction of their own selves, instantly leading to physical and spiritual annihilation. Another one. The old man was completely stunned, his expression filled with shock. For origins. Good heavens, this kid is even more monstrous than the 4th generation vermilion bird. How could such a monster appear in this world? The old man muttered, though his eyes were filled with excitement that could not be described. But just then, another light flickered from Wang Lin's heavenly spirit. This light was eerie, existing yet not existing, in a state between reality and illusion. It rapidly alternated, creating a series of blurred and indistinct images, making it impossible to discern clearly at a glance. Staring dazedly at the 5 different origins floating above Wang Lin's heavenly spirit, the old man swallowed hard. For a long while, he couldn't speak. It wasn't until the 5 origins slowly returned to Wang Lin's body that he let out a long sigh. Is that it? Good, good. The old man looked at Wang Lin as if he were some kind of strange creature. 5 origins. 5 origins. Damn it, this little brat is even more monstrous than the 4th generation vermilion bird. How could such a monster exist in this world? The old man muttered, but the excitement in his eyes was beyond description. The moonlight grew thicker, and the gentle breeze never ceased, creating a rustling sound from the vegetation surrounding the lake. Gradually, as the night passed, the first rays of the sun slowly rose in the distance, dispelling the darkness of the earth and taking away the remnants of the night's chill. After a night of meditation, the flame power within Wang Lin's body had grown significantly, but he was still unable to break through to the 4th awakening of the vermilion bird, as a barrier remained that he could not cross. The elder selection for the Falling Life Society had already begun on this early morning. By the time the sun reached its zenith, approaching noon, the dragon blood power Wang Lin had consumed slowly faded away, restoring his complexion to normal as he opened his eyes. A heavy breath of turbid air was expelled. The color of the air was pitch black. As it was released, it fell to the ground ahead, causing a cracking sound as the surface was scorched, with cracks appearing like those of a dried-up turtle shell. The moment his eyes opened, Wang Lin immediately saw the elder across from him. After a brief moment of silence, he stood, bowed respectfully, and said in a low voice, "Junior Wang Lin, greetings to the 4th generation ancestor." The elder's gaze towards Wang Lin carried a touch of oddness. After a brief cough, he hid the peculiar look in his eyes and smiled, saying, "I am not the 4th generation vermilion bird." Wang Lin was taken aback. He raised his head to look at the elder, his mind stirring. "Why you? Are you the 1st generation vermilion bird?" The elder laughed heartily, shaking his head. "I am not the 1st generation vermilion bird either. I am from the 2nd generation. The years here are long, and many matters are complicated. The 4th generation vermilion bird is here as well, and you are the 2nd clansman I've seen after him. Are you the great emperor?" Wang Lin hesitated for a moment before asking. "Just like you. I am a young emperor." The elder smiled, seeing Wang Lin's thoughtful expression. He explained, "Both I and the 4th generation little one are young emperors. As for the fallen great emperor, that's a title given by outsiders. Within our vermilion bird sacred clan, he is only known as the 1st generation vermilion bird ancestor. One of the 4 strongest generals under the command of the ancient immortal venerable." Wang Lin's heart trembled, and he looked up in shock. "You'll learn more about the matters concerning the vermilion bird sacred clan after you undergo the trials," the elder said with a smile. "As for the trial, it's a necessity, and perhaps it will be a great opportunity for you to break through the transformation of illusory fire. But this is extremely difficult, so there's no need to feel too much pressure." The elder stood up, his gaze shifting to the northwest. After a moment of contemplation, his tone showed a hint of displeasure as he said, "Why didn't you accept Simaja's challenge? Is the Vermilion Bird clan afraid of him? After your trial, fight with all your might. I'll be here, and no one invited here can stir up any trouble. The elder selection of the Falling Life Society is nothing but a game. The 3rd step great powers invited this time are just to let them know that a new young emperor has emerged in this land of falling stars. You are a member of the Vermilion Bird clan, no matter where you are from. This cannot be changed. If you leave here, I can't protect you, but as long as you are within our clan, no one dares to harm you. Remember, the Vermilion Bird clan acts with dominance and protects its own. We are so domineering that no one can resist. Only by being like this can we stand firm in this chaos. Only like this, when you leave and someone dares to harm you, they will be deeply afraid. So, instead of hiding, why not establish prestige? Simaja is the perfect target for that. What if he's a 3rd step great power? Use him to establish your prestige." The elder's words were extremely domineering. Wang Lin fell silent for a moment, then nodded, a cold light flashing in his eyes. Seeing Wang Lin's expression, the elder was quite satisfied. His gaze fell upon the lake water, and after a brief moment of contemplation, he continued, "As for the dragon god blood wine, drink it cautiously during your trial. Also, as for my divine art, you cannot cultivate it. But since we have met, I will pass on some things to you. Let me teach you a technique from our clan's secret arts. The elder's expression turned strange when he spoke of secret arts. Anyway, you're from our clan, and it's no harm telling you. The Vermilion Bird clan never really had any secret arts. What we call secret arts are actually great divine techniques that the ancestor once stole from the Azure Dragon, Black Tortoise, and White Tiger clans when he was still able to move. After bringing them back, he called them secret arts. Among the three clans, the Black Tortoise clan is the strongest in physical strength. When I checked your body earlier, I found that you had somehow become an ancient god. If the power of the ancient god is used with this technique, its power will naturally be even greater. This technique is not a divine art, but rather a method of using force. Watch closely, the elder said, walking to the lake's edge. He raised his right hand and swept it toward the surface of the water. As his palm landed, the lake water immediately trembled, forming a sudden depression. But as soon as the depression formed, the elder's right hand struck the water surface from midair.